What a blissful life I led up until about a week or so ago. I hadn't seen Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection, which was totally on purpose, by the way. I heard they were terrible. But unfortunately, in order to film this video, I watched both back to back, which is something that I would not wish on my worst enemy. Howdy, Guy with No Name here. If you enjoy the video, show your support by liking and subscribing. I'm trying to get to 250 subscribers, but yeah, before we jump into the ranking, just wanted to say that this does not include any of the Alien vs. Predator movies, just the Alien-specific movies, and then it's also based on my personal enjoyment of the films, not necessarily on how great of films I think they actually were. Starting off my list, at the bottom of the barrel, I have number 7, Alien Resurrection. Super hard to choose which is the worst Alien movie, but I ended up having to go with Resurrection. Mainly because I thought it was fairly boring, not very well made in parts, and didn't really justify its own existence. Also, there are some really stylized scenes that stuck out like a sore thumb and are super dated nowadays, so yeah, really can't think of much redeemable about this one. Number 6, Alien Cubed. I can only imagine how much of a disappointment this movie was in theaters, following up a movie as great as Aliens. I bet the anticipation was palpable, and the letdown for the majority of the audience was dramatic. If you haven't, I would highly recommend reading about all the behind-the-scenes drama, because it's a crazy roller coaster of a story. I really wanted to rank this one last, as I didn't appreciate how it crapped on its predecessor, and in fact, that's an opinion echoed by James Cameron, no less. But I found the acting and directing, as well as a lack of weird stylized basketball scenes, to just push this one to number 6. 5, Alien Covenant. I actually like this movie much more than the average person. I appreciated the setup and slow burn. I liked the tie-ins to Prometheus, though I wish it answered more of the mysteries set up by its predecessor. And it had some great, intense alien violence. The scenes with David and Walter were riveting. They're really kind of like two sides of a coin almost, and I was hoping Ridley Scott would at least finish out his trilogy. I do have to admit though that this movie seemed a bit reactionary, and I feel like Scott planned on taking it in a different direction before hearing some of the negative reviews of Prometheus. 4, Prometheus. I also like this one way more than most. I will always give it credit for its ambition and creativity, especially after finally seeing how far the franchise had fallen with Alien 3 and Resurrection. This movie was a breath of fresh air. Also, as much as I liked Alien Romulus, the majority of it was a safe film with many similar story beats and lines. Prometheus took the franchise in a new direction, but to me it made sense. To meet the owner of Wayland Corporation, who wants to use his vast wealth and power to prolong his life, and, in the process, revisit the alien species seen in the original and learn of its significance to the human race, was an interesting take. Granted, the execution wasn't as good as it should have been, but the positives way outweigh the negatives for me. Number 3, Alien. The original deserves to be in the top 3, but I'm guessing it's controversial to not have it in the top 2. Don't get me wrong, Alien deserves a lot of credit. It was the first one. The design of the alien is iconic. Ellen Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, is still talked about today. The tone and feel of the world is very unique and eerie and lived in, and it's genuinely one of the best, if not the best, sci-fi horror movies ever made. 2, Alien Romulus. I know this movie's really high up here. I almost put Alien above it, but I just think this one has the advantage of not in any way looking dated, being able to take what came before it and build on it, and thinking of new and terrifying situations for its characters to be in. Alien definitely wins as far as having better characters, but I think the reason I enjoyed Romulus slightly better was due to it being pretty much the perfect blend of the horror aspects of Alien and the action aspects of Alien. And finally, number 1, Aliens. I find it very fascinating how similar in feel Alien and Aliens are to Terminator and Terminator 2. The first was a slower, horror-based sci-fi film, while the second built on its predecessor and morphed into a tense action flick. James Cameron took the reins and blew just about everyone away with it. The characters are great, the story is simple yet gripping and masterfully executed. And there's a reason why this 1986 movie is still talked about whenever a new Alien movie comes out. Will it ever be topped? It's doubtful. I'm still waiting for them to follow up where we left off. Hope one day we can see whatever happened with Ripley, Hicks, Bishop, and Newt. I'm sure they flew off to some distant, peaceful planet and lived happily ever after. By the way, after this video is out, I'm once again pretending Alien 3 and Resurrection don't even exist. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you thought of my list. Am I crazy? I'd love to see, your ranking and see where we are maybe similar and where we differ. If you enjoy ranking videos, I got a whole playlist on my channel, most recently of the Despicable Me and Minion movies, so I guess a complete change of pace from the Alien movies, but, I like both. I'm sure there's other people who like both. Also, Venom 3 is around the corner. I will be doing something with that. I don't know if it's going to be a review or maybe another ranking video. Who knows? But appreciate you guys. This is Guy with No Name, signing off.